Hello and welcome to Do Human Work, the podcast that looks at the future of cybersecurity through the lens of AI. And we are here live at Black Hat, and I am Nate Burke, your host, and I am joined, as always, by
Lior. Hi, everybody.
And today we are joined by Kyle Kurdziolek, VP of Information Security at BigID, right?
Yeah, as of recently over the past 6 months now. Yeah.
And you're also what we are calling one of the Chief Innovation Security Officers. And that whole thing, that list stemmed from a conversation that we were having together at RSA.
Yeah.
That kicked it off.
Long time ago, but it's actually not so long time ago.
Yeah.
It's like a few months ago, right?
Yeah, I remember we were just having a couple of bites of sushi, and then we just started rolling with the conversation, and it's like we're entering this new era of security, right? Yeah. And we started talking about how traditional CISOs, how they do risk management, how CISOs start implementing technology, and with the new age of AI, how do CISOs want to implement AI? And so now we started rolling down the different areas, and then Lior just off the cuff goes, the Chief Innovation Security Officer. And I was like, that sounds pretty good.
It's different for sure. And Nate, but before we start, what's happened to your voice? We are in day one of the show. What's happened to you?
So what happens is when you have an 11-year-old and that 11-year-old goes to every camp over the summer,
collecting things.
Bring back some things, and she was sick, and then all of a sudden, my voice started to go right before getting on the show floor. So I'm going to get a little closer to the mic. But by the end of this show, I will have absolutely no voice whatsoever.
Yeah, overrated. We don't need it.
Nobody needs my voice. That's right. Speaking of the show, we are at Black Hat. And after this, not long after this episode, we are going to do a panel together on this idea of the Chief Innovation Security Officer. And as Kyle mentioned, we came up with this idea sitting together at dinner. And Lior, you've talked to 1 million CISOs at this point, probably a few less than that. But when we were talking about this, give your info on kind of what you were thinking, what you saw that was happening that's different today.
Yeah, I think that when you really think about it, what's happening right now in the cybersecurity, once AI become a thing, and we're going to talk about it, but when I'm saying become a thing, it's faster than we thought. You can start seeing a split between people that saying, okay, I do understand it, and I have to evolve myself to innovate in order to really protect my company and environment. If I'm not going to do it, basically we're not going to be able to protect an environment. And there is people that still stuck. And I think that as we go, it's like we see less and less people like this, but stuck in the past a little bit. But this time, I think that if you're not going to move fast and start innovating in your environment, you're going to stay behind. And to be honest, it's not about like my opinion or your opinion. It's really about what hackers are doing. So if you really think about it, China and Russia and different ransomware group right now starting to adopt AI and starting to leverage those technology in order to attack us. And we are just in the first inning of that thing. But it's like 2 years from now, if you're not the chief innovator officer, it's like you're going to be behind. So I think that it's really about giving it and put it is in front of center. And I think that people will start understanding that, okay, this is kind of where the future is and I have to evolve and adapt. But I think that for many CISO, and Kyle, it's you're adapting on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, being a VP of security for a cybersecurity company is a very complex ecosystem, and we're talking about how AI is going to change the way we do security, right? And I think back about probably a couple of months ago when I was actually at a CISO dinner in Chicago, and essentially, there was wristbands going around. Are you excited for AI? Are you scared for AI? Are you indifferent about AI? Well, I was excited for AI, of course, obviously. But to my surprise, I was one of maybe like 2 or 3 other people out of a room of 30 people. And so when we started having these conversations, we're like, why are we excited about AI? We highlight all the different benefits that we can do from it, like looking at reducing the amount of alerts that are in our backlog, right? How do we enrich our vulnerability findings with the assistance of AI? And when you start talking to some of the people that were really scared of AI, they're like, a lot of it was they didn't understand how it works. How do we police it? How do we ensure that we're adopting it and using it in the right way? Which are all valid, which are all valid, right? But I think when you look behind all the smoke and mirrors behind everything, you really understand it's like AI is here to enable you. It's meant to accelerate the maturity of your program to essentially where sky's the limit. And I think that's where, that the more we teach and the more we educate this new era and usher AI into security itself across all security operations, from GRC, application security, looking at incident response, cloud security, you're going to see essentially the new Netflix of security, but at a faster scale and at a faster pace too. Because, right, you look at Netflix and the way that they were able to be innovative, right? They were thought leaders. They were able to essentially rise to the occasion of really spearhead of what security is today. With the use of AI, who's going to be the next Netflix of security?
It's fascinating that you're talking about Netflix, because when I'm thinking about Netflix, they started by shipping DVDs to people home. And very quickly they realized that, just a sec, there is that thing called the internet, and we're going to stream the video to your home. And at the beginning, the experience was like, to be honest,
so slow.
It's like you couldn't see the video. But it's like somebody over there had the vision to say, okay, the fact that it's slow, it's going to be faster. And that's going to be the future of everything. And, today we can't think about a day without Netflix.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a good segue to understand. It's like, how far away are we from, hey, we're shipping DVDs to streaming things on the internet? And is AI, it's like ready or not, to be honest?
Yeah, I think when you're putting the focus on security itself, right? Like I think, you and I have had this conversation a lot too, where we start thinking about, where do we see AI going in the next couple of years, right? Like how quick do we expect adoption? What is the trend going to be for AI in security, right? And that's sort of where I actually wrote about this in a news article where it's like, I see AI security operations centers evolving to where this is going to be the next hot technology within the cybersecurity space over the next year, if I'm being quite honest, right? And then all of a sudden now you're seeing more cybersecurity companies start implementing AI into their products as everyone should, to be honest with you. It helps enable the growth and ultimately the value of your product to essentially that next level. And so that's sort of where, it's shaking my crystal ball, right? I see essentially like the AI security operations center evolving towards like, great, now we're doing level 1, level 2, but what's going to be level 3, level 4?
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, so we're always going to keep iterating and keep improving on it, right? But it's just a matter of where's that next vision going to come from and how are you going to execute it?
When we first met, I think that you shared with me, and it will be great if you can share with the audience, that you have a vision, and this is before I said a word about what we're gonna build. So can you share a little bit about this vision?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that this vision was about us at all. It was about the industry, right?
Yeah, my mentor Tyler Young is actually who got me introduced to you, and so we started to hit the ground running, and you just started asking me general questions like, what are some of the pain points, right? Like, what are some of the problems that you face? And I specifically told you, I was like, what I'd love to do, Lior? I was like, I would love to take AI on top of all of my security alerts and automate it all. I was like, but have AI augment, enrich, and close out the alerts that don't matter. Give the system context into my environment. So that way, that alert, I don't have to keep rewriting my threat detection signature. The AI system is understanding my ecosystem to essentially know my environment better, just as well as me, if not the next analyst.
Yeah.
Because we're always providing that context, right? And I've had this idea like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, we have the people, we have the process, but the technology was not there yet. And so that was essentially the catalyst of what grown into not only a great partnership, I think a great friendship as well, to really share a lot of that vision and sort of like how do we think about security and what that future looks like for us.
This is fascinating because people are asking me, it's like, hey, what are you guys building at 7A? And I'm saying, it's like, look, it's an old idea. It's an idea that people that really understand security and really been in this kind of market and understand how to secure organization, they have this vision. But the unlock of the technology, of the reasoning capability was not there even a year and a half ago, to be honest.
Not at all.
Even when we started, and I remember that conversation, as I told you, it's a great idea. We're kind of building it, but it's like, I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
And with a lot of humbleness, it's like that thing evolved, and to be honest, it evolved faster than I thought.
Yep.
It's like the concept of agent was not there.
Yeah.
The word was not there. So-
Yeah, and I think I actually warned you too. I was like, you better be careful because once the secret sauce, right, the Krabby Patty secret formula is figured out, it's gonna take off to where the value is gonna be immediate. That anyone you showcase this product to is gonna really showcase the value, because like I said, it's a common problem every security team in every industry faces, and it's a matter of how can you execute that vision to really not only reduce the amount of noise and improve the health and mental well-being of a lot of these incident response analysts, but also how can you show that you're able to scale a security team a lot faster in their maturity as a program. And I think that's what's really fascinating is that, like I said, the introduction of AI into security operations and to different security domains itself, you're really accelerating the maturity curve of a lot of security companies and security teams.
So let's talk about from the vision to here and now, because part of that conversation you told me, hey, I have a great team. They are gonna go deep.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be able to pass them, then it's like probably I'm gonna be convinced.
Yeah. I mean, I have an amazing team. I think I have, selfishly, I have one of the best teams, out of the industry. That's selfishly speaking. But with that said, right, like there's a lot of technical chops that my team has a really well understanding of how to do an investigation. But they also understand AI technologies, and so they understand the logic. How does it work? How does the agentic process work? How's your architecture built to make sure that it understands the alerts and the noise that's coming through to actually surface the ones that matter, the ones that need a human to look at, right? And so through a lot of the great partnerships that in the meetings, the constant Friday meetings with my colleague Pedro, he's always been really dialed in and focused to make this a reality, because again, he has suffered the same pain as I have, and so it's just happy. It's happy to see from someone that's had this vision 5 or 6 years ago, thinking I was like, man, I don't know if this is ever going to happen. I don't know if the technology is ever going to be there for us in order to meet that. And sure enough, 5, 6 years later, here we are, and AI is all the boom, but we're using it in the most practical use cases to really value and appreciate the creativity and innovation that humans can actually bring to the table without being buried in the very mundane, boring work that pretty much leads to burnout.
And they don't want to do this type of work. So.
No, I sure didn't. I definitely did not. No.
So I think, you said earlier, you're kind of an outlier. In that room of people, you're one of the two that was leaning in on AI. And it sounds like you also have a team that is just built to take on innovation and run with it. But for the others that aren't so ready, and for those people that even a CISO that says, I want to leverage AI, in a lot of cases, you're going to run into some resistance, right? Yeah. It can be from their team. It can be from anywhere else. And you get this resistance of, well, wait a second, I'm afraid AI is going to automate away my job, or I just don't trust it, or whatever. So for those majority of people out there that are a little bit reluctant but do still feel the pain, like how would you advise them if they want to get started and actually want to take the leap? And not only that, to convince their team that this is a net benefit for them.
Yeah, I think in general, it's like I always start with the one question, right? And especially with now AI, like I said, it is status quo. It is the status quo in today's industry, and so it's like, what's the one thing you hate doing every day? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that's the one thing that you hate doing. Great. Now I'm going to challenge you to find a solution that you don't have to do that manually anymore. Is that through a tool that someone is leveraging AI for? Is that something that we have the resources to build internally and build our own LLMs? Essentially, you're allowing your team's capacity to grow 10x compared to those that are still doing the same task over and over and repeating it, right? So I always just ask the team, start with one question. What's that one question? Based on your answer, that's your new challenge, and I need you to go solve that. And I'm going to be there every step of the way to help you think creatively and how do we solve this together. And like I said, with the status quo of AI, that has to be part of that new workflow. It has to be part of the new way of thinking. It has to be part of the new process, the new operation. That is how you're going to scale and grow your team to a net benefit that's going to grow 10x than what you are traditionally used to and what has been, traditionally the status quo for security.
So go back to our first conversation. I think that we were debating a little bit of, okay, what's the test? How can we pass the test, and where do we put the line? Is it one investigation on a one alert? And I think you said it's like, oh, it's easy. And then I choked a little bit because where you put the bar was, it's like, oh, we're using this external, MDR that processing every alert that we have.
Yeah.
All the way to the bit. They're doing a fantastic job. We really like them, but we believe that with AI, we can do it faster and better. Can you pass this test? And I looked at my team and said, yeah, sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, being in the industry and being part of that operation for so long, it's like, I already know the glass ceiling you have to punch through.
Yeah.
And it's the matter, can you rise to the challenge and execute it? And so when you're able to not only break through the glass ceiling, but you're able to keep climbing higher and higher to meet the expectations that I know that I need in order to make sure that A, that it's accurate, B, you're able to scale in a way that is going to adopt our technologies and the amount of logs that are coming through, but ultimately, as well as the risk reduction, the amount of alerts that security teams face that are buried that have yet to be touched. You'll be surprised how many alerts that are false positives, but analysts are just so burnt out they just don't want to close it.
Yeah,
and so you're now passing that torch to the AI to go do. And allow the humans to go dive into the real work that's like, this is what's exciting. This is the interesting things that this AI system has never seen before, and now it needs my help because I have the context. I understand my environment better than anyone else. Even though the AI has context, there could be a new behavior, there could be a new system out there that is now part of the new normal, or it's not part of the new normal, and so you're trying to differentiate that difference.
Yeah, I think that one of the first things that we understood during those conversations initially is we're not the vendor that will say, hey, we'll just remove people. Basically, the way that we were thinking about it, and eventually we give it a cool name, it's like do human work versus non-human work. But what's behind it is when we thought about it is we said, okay, in security, we still need to have people. But people has to use what they have that the machine don't. And this is their brain, creativity, the ability to solve very complex problem, think in a very critical way. So people need to solve the problem that they are very good of solving. Mm-hmm. And as you said, it's like if it's toiled, boring, repeatable, but very necessary, okay, let's let the agent do this type of work.
Absolutely.
And I think that we manage kind of to strike the right balance with your team of really doing it. And I think that they're a little bit happier now.
Yeah, absolutely. They are definitely a lot happier. And like I said, there's that test, right? It's like we have a current solution today. We're pretty happy with them. I'm like, but being me, future thinking, I think as myself as a disruptor, I like to inherit and bring in new disruptive technologies that's going to shake the security industry up. And this is where the chief innovation security officer comes into play, right? It's like we're disrupting what the security status quo is into now what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And that is solutions like a 7AI coming in to show like, this is how we can 10x your team in this category. And now I need to do that across not only just one team, I need to do it across the rest of my teams. And so how do we do that? And so that's the fun challenge for all the new chief innovation security officers is how are you going to rise to the challenge and implement AI across all security pillars that you're responsible for to 10x the output for the rest of your teams.
Yeah, people ask me what's the difference between a CISO to a chief innovation security officer. I'm saying the first, their job is to reflect reality and reflect risk. The chief innovation, their job is to create new reality and not just reflect reality. And it's like adopting new technology, thinking about kind of how the future going to be. And to be honest, moving from the reactive to a position that we're going to be ahead of those hackers, because I think that this is a very unique point in time that us and hackers have access to the same technology and we don't need to wait for them to adopt it. We can adopt it and be faster than they are.
Absolutely.
I asked you this before. I'm going to look back to say what you answered then because it could be different now. But if I had a magic wand and I could give you back 25% of your time, what would you do with it?
Oh, man. If I got 25% of my time back, I would probably be exploring more culinary techniques and different ways to cook.
Okay.
I'd like to be a home chef. I watch Gordon Ramsay. It was a next level chef all the time. He brings the home cooks in. I'd go compete on Gordon Ramsay's next level chef. Come on. That'd be a lot of fun.
We're coming to it.
Yeah.
We're in. Usually we're saying, hey, this is a rare opportunity for us to give you time back as a CISO. Yeah. So let's say that you get the time back. What is on your CISO bucket list? The thing that you want to do, but you can't do right now.
Oh, the things I want to do on my CISO bucket list that I can't do today.
Things that you just never get around to because you're too busy, doing the repetitive stuff with your team.
I think it's ultimately how can I create innovative processes and solutions to where I am no longer siloing teams. Yeah. I am bringing the harmony of security into legal from a privacy perspective. I'm bringing compliance into more of security engineering and how are we automating a lot of our control evidence and how we want to do that across all of our security tools. And essentially, you're creating this beautiful web of automations that is no longer siloed to just AppSec is doing their thing, CloudSec's doing their thing. Because at the end of the day, AppSec bleeds into CloudSec, CloudSec bleeds into AppSec, and both of those functions also bleed into GRC. So how do we create that beautiful web in security that is what's going to be the new age with the help of AI?
With knowing his team, they are halfway there already, but that's a different story for a different time.
All right, I think that's a good place to stop because we are going to all get together and we've got a panel to do on this idea of the Chief Innovation Security Officer here in a couple of hours. But hey, glad we got to do this in person. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, it was a great time. Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.